Welcome back, guys. Today we're going to do another how-to. A lot of you have messaged me before and asked me to do this trick, but I made sure that I taught you guys how to hang 10 first and nose mount, because for this trick you have to know how to hang 10. You got to know how to stand on both your front pegs and make sure, of course, you have 2 front pegs, and if you don't, please put them on right now and we'll wait for you to do so. Alright, now that your front pegs are on, let's start the how-to. Remember, you have to know how to hang 10, so let's warm up with a hang 10 first. Start, 1 foot on the peg, bounce it, other foot on, and then do a couple of those first to warm up, because the hitchhiker takes a little more balance than doing a hang 10. Hang 10, you're standing on the pegs, but you have your arms to control. When you do a hitchhiker, it's just your feet. You do see my hand right here, but my hand doesn't do anything to help me for balancing at all. It just stops the handlebars from hitting the floor. So let's start step by step. So the first step, obviously, is to do a hang 10. Get a nice hang 10. Make sure you're on like the ball of your feet, because if you're on like the heels, you can't really bend your ankle as much. Your ankle is very useful for balancing. You want to make sure that when you're doing the hang 10, your ankles are very free and the deck is not really hitting them. It gets really close, especially if you have a wide deck, but you don't want your ankles like pressed against it, because when you go to throw the hitchhiker, then it gets stuck with your legs and everything. So once you do hang 10, get a nice steady one. What I like to do is I like to put my hands like this. I put my hands where like my thumb isn't really gripped. I put my thumbs like this, because I kind of use my thumbs to flick down. You don't really have to, but I find it helps me do a hitchhiker a lot more consistently, because I'm a little more light. Instead of throwing my using my entire hand, I use just my thumbs like that, so it's a little flick, so it's a little more gentle, so you don't like mess yourself up. So when you're in a nice hang 10, you put your thumbs like that, and what you want to do is you want to just, you know what you do first, stand with your heels on the ground first, and just practice the rotation of just throwing it down and catching it like this with your hand on the brake. Don't let the bars hit the floor, because when the bars hit the floor, the grips will grip you and stop you from rolling. So just practice having your heels on the ground, practice rotation, catching it and throwing it back and forth, because that's very important. The transition from both. Holding it is, I don't know if it's easier, but it's definitely a big factor. But throwing it back and forth is like a big deal. So you want to just get the motion first, like that. It's kind of like a quarter, nothing front scooter flip. Just bring it right back like that. So once you have that motion, then you're ready for the next step. Now, the next step, you can do either one. You can practice going straight from a hang 10, just trying to throw it. But like I said in the previous videos before, I always like to practice holding the trick first. I like to just get it in the position and have like a good position where you feel like if you were to lift your heels up, you'll be able to balance for at least a few seconds. I like to find like a slight downhill. This basketball court is like a really mellow hill, where it's not too steep, where I'm going to be going really fast, but not slow, where if I take my heels up right now, I'm going to stop rolling. So I always like to practice holding it first like that. You put your heels back down if you feel like you're going to fall, but you do those a couple of times, get an idea what it feels like, because now that your hands are off the bars and you're not doing a hang 10, it's really all on your toes, going left and right like that. This hand doesn't do anything. This hand just stops the bars from hitting the floor. I'm not balancing, I'm not holding it tight. I'm just stopping the bars from hitting the floor, that way I can roll freely. And we'll try a couple more of trying to balance it. It's all on your toes. I have this hand out right here to help balance, and you can stop. Now let's try to put everything together. So now that you guys have an idea of the motion, throwing it forward and back, and getting a quick balance, let's try to do everything together. First, let's try to just do a hang 10 and throw the hitchhiker first. Don't worry about landing it. Just worry about balancing a nice hang 10 and throwing the bars down, stopping the deck and the bars from hitting the floor. Just get a nice hang 10 steady and throw it down. Don't worry about landing it. Stop landing it. Get a feel for it, because usually the first ones you throw, you just want to like throw the bars down like really hard. Sometimes that's good, but in the beginning it's not really too good, because you don't want to throw your balance that way. You want to stay right here. You don't want to throw the bars too hard. Let's do one more. Do another hang 10. Throw the bars down. That one I actually messed up, but it's good because I get an idea of what the hitchhiker feels like for a few seconds after throwing it while doing a hang 10. So let's actually do the last step, and then we'll put both starting it and finishing it together. So last step is start off again in hitchhiker position and try to push off like I told you before. But as soon as you push off and you feel steady, try to bring the scooter back into hang 10 position. So we'll start like this and bring it back. And do that a couple of times. Again, because it's a downhill, it helps a lot. So try to find like a mellow downhill, something smooth. Basketball court is always good. And we'll start it again like that. Into hang 10 position. We're good. Now we put the beginning part and that part together, and we'll land the whole thing. So now you have an idea how to get into hitchhiker, and then you have an idea how to get out. You want to put both together and do the entire trick. Remember to relax too. It's not a trick where you got to force and there's a lot of power. You just want to stay in a comfortable position and like your center point. Find that center point where your knees are slightly bent and you're kind of over the head tube. You don't want to be back, so you're going to shoot out. Your heels are dragging, you don't want to be forward, you're going to go over your bars. So let's do the whole hitchhiker right now. So we'll start in a hang 10. Get a nice steady one. Throw it forward. Hold it, feel comfortable. Bring it back, off the pegs, and land it. That is the entire hitchhiker. There's a few ways to do it where you can stand on the pegs first. I've seen some of the kids tag me in clips where they do hang 10s and they kind of stand on the pegs and then start it. You can do that. I like to land on the deck afterwards because if I have to do another trick, or just if I'm doing a line and I have to do something else after or before, starting and landing on your deck is always the best thing. We'll do one more hitchhiker and I'll film it in slow-mo. That way you guys can get a full idea about everything I'm doing. Alright, so that was like a slow-mo of how to hitchhiker. You can see every little thing I'm doing, and make sure if you're still not confused but you're still not understanding it, go back to the slow-mo and pay attention to every single frame almost. You can literally slow it down to every single bit of the trick. And I hope you guys learned the hitchhiker. I'm going to do a couple different variations of the hitchhiker right now just to show you that it's very useful. It's a cool flatland trick. It probably is one of the nicest looking ones. A lot of the BMX guys do it, everybody likes it, and once you do it, it's really not that bad to hold it straight as long as the ground is smooth. So here's some variations. Alright, those were a few variations of a hitchhiker. Hitchhiker is such a fun trick to do. You guys can learn it. Just make sure you know how to hang 10 and nose mail, or have an idea to do both tricks first. If you don't, you have other videos on my channel in the past where you can watch those first, get an idea, and then come back to this video and learn a hitchhiker. I hope you guys learned hitchhikers today. If you did, tag me in your videos on Instagram. Tag me in pictures of hitchhikers on Instagram or Facebook, or DM me your latest hitchhiker. I'd be so hyped to see it because it's nice seeing my videos be useful and you guys learn the new tricks, because that means I'm doing my job. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and be the homie. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Later.